something about Brennan collapsing in that same house where Drew went down, it just doesn't sit right with me. I keep replaying that detail in my head because General Hospital usually doesn't repeat locations like that unless there's a reason. And maybe I'm overthinking this, but what if this whole thing was never just about Drew in the first place? What if Brennan was always supposed to become part of the same twisted setup? Because now Nina is standing right in the middle of it again. And honestly, guys, I don't think she even realizes how deep she's sinking. The second I saw that preview, with Brennan barely able to move while another syringe was coming toward him, I had this awful feeling that history was repeating itself. Except this time, darker. Drew was already being controlled with that paralysis drug Willow had been using on him, and everyone around him accepted the stroke explanation way too easily. Too easily. Then suddenly Brennan ends up in almost the exact same condition, in almost the exact same place. Come on. That cannot be random. And the weird part is, Drew had already started showing signs of recovery. That's what keeps bothering me. Last week, we literally saw Drew move his finger. He was trying to fight through it, trying to signal for help. There was even that moment where it looked like he was forcing his own hand upward, almost desperate to reach someone before it was too late. I can't help but feel like that scene mattered more than people think. Because if Drew was waking up, if his body was beginning to resist the drug, then somebody had a problem on their hands. And Willow noticed immediately. She shut it down fast. Almost too fast. After that, Drew disappeared from the screen entirely. No updates. No follow-up. Nothing. That silence is loud to me. It feels like the show is hiding something on purpose, almost like Drew is sitting somewhere trapped between life and death while the people around him scramble to keep the truth buried. And now Brennan suddenly becomes the next victim? Yeah, I don't buy that coincidence at all. What really caught my attention was the hand holding the syringe in the preview. The ring. The way the hand moved. I might be wrong, but that did not feel random either. That looked like Cullum to me. The camera avoided fully revealing him, which honestly makes me even more suspicious. Soap operas love doing that when they want viewers to recognize somebody without officially confirming it yet. And if that really was Cullum, then Nina may have just walked directly into a nightmare without realizing it. Because from what I saw, it almost looked like Brennan was beginning to resist. Like he was trying to wake up during the injection. His fingers moved. His body reacted. There was still some fight left in him. And Nina, she appeared to help hold him still. That image is stuck in my head. Not because I think Nina wanted Brennan dead. Actually, that's the part that makes this even worse. I genuinely think there's a chance Nina believes this is still just another paralysis dose. Maybe she thinks they're only keeping Brennan quiet temporarily the same way Drew was controlled. Maybe she thinks she's helping contain a dangerous situation. But what if the syringe didn't contain the paralysis drug at all? What if Cullum switched it? I swear, the more I think about it, the more terrifying that possibility becomes. Because if Cullum wanted Brennan permanently silenced, this would be the perfect way to do it. Brennan already appears medically compromised. Everyone already believes he suffered some kind of stroke-like episode. One final injection would not immediately raise alarms, and Nina would unknowingly become part of a murder. Again, that's the tragedy here. Nina keeps ending up trapped in situations where somebody smarter or colder manipulates her emotions and uses her panic against her. We already saw Willow do something similar before. People forget that part, but I haven't. Willow intentionally let Nina touch the syringe connected to Drew. That fingerprint setup felt deliberate to me from the beginning. Like Willow wanted protection in case the truth ever surfaced. Nina never saw it coming. And now I'm starting to wonder if this Brennan situation mirrors that storyline for a reason. Because think about it. If Brennan dies, who becomes the obvious suspect? Not Cullum. Nobody even knows he was there. Nina, on the other hand, has every reason to be seen entering Brennan's room. Visiting him would not look suspicious at first. People know she cares. People would remember seeing her. If investigators trace the timeline, Nina's name surfaces immediately while Cullum remains invisible in the background. That feels intentional to me. It feels planned. And honestly, I can already imagine Nina standing there later completely horrified after learning the medicine was actually poison. I can picture Cullum coldly revealing the truth after the injection is finished, almost like he waited until it was irreversible before telling her. That kind of psychological cruelty, it fits the vibe of this story way too well. What scares me is that Brennan may have heard everything before the final injection happened. There was that brief moment where his body reacted, and in soap operas, those tiny movements matter. If Brennan was partially conscious, there's a chance he heard Cullum, maybe even heard Nina. Maybe he realized he was being betrayed right before the end. That's brutal. And yet, the show keeps pulling my attention back toward Drew, because I honestly think Brennan's collapse may accidentally become the thing that saves Drew's life. The writers putting two identical strokes in the same house cannot be accidental. Somebody is eventually going to notice the pattern. Somebody is going to ask why two otherwise healthy men suddenly suffered nearly identical medical emergencies in the exact same location months apart. That's where Dante comes into my mind immediately. I keep coming back to this idea that Dante is about to connect the dots once Liz shares her suspicions. Liz has been around enough medical mysteries to know when something feels off. And Dante has instincts. He notices patterns. If Liz mentions Brennan and Drew experiencing nearly identical symptoms in the same place, I don't think Dante is going to let that go. And maybe that's the entire purpose of Brennan's storyline. Not just shock value. Not just another victim. Maybe Brennan's downfall is the clue that finally cracks the Drew situation open. Because, let's be honest, Drew surviving this long already feels important. If the writers only wanted him gone, they could have ended this story already. Instead, they showed us movement, resistance, signs of consciousness. They wanted viewers to remember that Drew is still fighting underneath whatever that drug did to him. And if Dante starts investigating, everything changes. Suddenly, Willow's behavior gets re-examined. Nina's involvement becomes more dangerous. Cullum risks exposure, and the truth behind those injections might finally start coming out. But I still can't shake this feeling that Nina is headed for disaster first. Even if she didn't know about the poison, would anyone believe her? That's the problem. From the outside, it's going to look terrible. Brennan dies after Nina visits him. Nina hopefully close during the injection. Nina already has connections to the Drew situation. Whether people know it yet or not, the optics are horrible. And maybe that's exactly what Cullum wants. A perfect scapegoat. The saddest part is that Nina probably thinks she's helping fix something. That's usually how these stories get her. She acts emotionally, impulsively, trying to protect someone or prevent chaos, and suddenly she's standing in the middle of a catastrophe she never intended to create. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into the previews. Maybe Brennan survives. Maybe the syringe really does contain the paralysis drug and not poison. But the tension around that scene felt different to me. Final. Cold. Almost like the show was warning us that Brennan may not walk away from this at all. And if Brennan really dies, then Drew, becoming the key witness later, would be an incredible twist. Imagine Drew fully recovering and eventually remembering fragments of what happened to him. Imagine him realizing the same thing was done to Brennan. That would completely change the game. But first, somebody has to save him. And right now, Dante feels like the person most likely to start pulling on that thread. Still, the more this story unfolds, the more I feel like we're only seeing the surface of whatever Cullum is actually planning. Because if he truly manipulated Nina into helping commit murder without her knowledge, then this whole thing is much bigger than one victim or one syringe. So now I keep asking myself the same question. Was Brennan the real target all along, or was he only the warning sign that finally exposes what happened to Drew before it's too late?